Hey friends, my name is Jake. Welcome to Canadian Cutting Edge, and today is an exciting day for me. My wife agreed with me to allow us to use some of my air miles. It's a points program in Canada that's been around for a couple decades, maybe more. And we have loads of points on there, and instead of saving them up for a trip, because who knows when we're ever going to travel, we got a new computer. It's a gaming computer. Not that I do gaming, but I might game with my sons a little bit because they're both gamers. But mostly for the power to video edit with ease and speed. A lot of you know you did some fundraising with me to get a newer computer to do some video editing on about a year and a half ago. And it really helped. It allowed me to upgrade from Windows Movie Maker, which was over a decade old and totally unsupported, to a real video software editing application. But that computer that I ended up getting just barely could run it. It's satisfactory. It works. And I thank you guys so much again for supporting me in getting that. That's now going to be my backup computer. And I got a brand new computer from HP, and I didn't need to spend any money. I have to still use my same, monitors and all that other stuff, but a new box that'll run good. That is a big deal for me. So I am excited. I've got it plugged in and turned on. It's doing updates now. So instead of just sitting there staring at it with googly eyes, we're going to look at this knife together. This is the Ontario knife company, Ice Wraith. They've got the regular Wraith that's got black polymer handle scales that you can't see through. And the Ice Wraith comes in three colors, this blue, a red, and a grayish color. All of them translucent, so you can sort of see through them. 1.4116 stainless steel, which is an older stainless steel, which I'm actually surprised. There's this channel that I watch, Laren, what's his last name? Knife Nerd channel. I bought his book. He's a metallurgy kind of guy with knives. He just posted a video. What's the title of the video? I don't know. But it's sort of it's teaching us about different knife steels and stuff, but he's using it as in a Mr. Rogers kind of format. But don't let that turn you off. There's a lot of really good information there. His channel's only got like 5 or 6 videos on it yet. But if you like to learn more about steel, and don't just listen to whatever reviewers say, because sometimes us reviewers are wrong. I'm not a metallurgist. I haven't studied knife steels a lot. I just sort of trust what I hear other reputable people say. And sometimes somebody who I think is reputable might be passing on errors that they don't know that they have or believe. So 4116 is actually a little bit better than I thought it was, but it's still not a great knife steel. The Rockwell on this thing is about 56, which is only one factor. The thing is, 4116 is a very tough steel, so it's a great outdoors kind of steel. The thing is, this knife construction itself might not be up to the toughness of the blade. Edge retention, it's okay. If you're interested in learning more about this knife, actually, before we get to that, let's talk about the price. White Mountain Knives has 2 of the ice colors, the blue and the light gray, and they've got the black solid polymer. They don't have the red. Amazon has, actually, White Mountain Knives price is $27.99. Subtract 10%, that's about $25.19. That's with coupon code CCE. But Amazon has these for less if you're in the United States. They've got the gray one, I think, for under $19. So that's like $6 off of the discounted price at White Mountain Knives. So that's a good deal. And they've got the other ones for less as well. So if you're interested in this knife, it's a lockback system. Why don't you stick around? We're going to take a good close look at it at the tabletop and help you figure out what you think of it by listening to what I think of it. I've got the old gray background back so you can see the blue color. Otherwise it was just washed out like crazy. So there's the knife. Let's do a size comparison with the Ontario Rat 1. And yeah, this is a small knife. If you've got, doggy hair. If you've got extra large hands, this knife is probably too small for you to be comfortable with if you want a full 4-finger grip. It's a smaller knife in just every regard. It's not a very big knife. We've got a satin finish, a full flat grind, and we've got a very slight recurve. I don't think that's intentional. I think that's just because the guy sharpening it or the gal sharpening it sharpened a little bit too much of that steel away. So it's basically supposed to be flat and then a belly and a tip. It's very thick behind the tip right there, which, yeah, it's not that great, but it's not super terrible. There's no sharpness choil. We've got thumb studs for deployment. There's no jimping on the spine. On this side it says Wraith and then 1.4116. That's for the steel. And on this side it says 1889. I guess that's the year Ontario Knife Company was formed. And it says Ontario Knife. And it says Taiwan. This knife is not made in China. It's made in Taiwan. It's a lockback knife. You can even see, if you look right down there, you can see the lock. I'll move the lock up and down. There's a little bit of lock rock. I can go up and down just a little bit. So I think that's mostly because this polymer flexes. But there is some lock rock. There's not side-to-side play per se, but there's a load of flex. I'll try to hold this still. And you can just see how far I can bend it. You can even see it. My hands are moving further, but if you just look along this steel line here, you can see it just flex. You know, so there's that. The big advantage on this thing is it's very, very light. 1.5 ounces, 43 grams for this knife. That's including the pocket clip. The polymer here, it's all 3D shaped. There's a section here that comes in a little bit, as you can see right there, and it comes wider. There's that pivot pin that the lock arm pivots on, and then it comes back thinner again. There's the equivalent of jimping back here and back here. Lanyard hole in the corner. There's a screw here that's solely for the pocket clip, and it's totally reversible, so it's right or left pocket clip. All you need is one T6 screw here, and that takes it apart. I'll show you, actually I'll do it right now. I'll show you some close-ups of the parts for the pocket clip. It's easy to move from one side to the other. And it's keys in. There's a little key right there so that it makes the pocket clip stay oriented properly. The pocket clip has a tip up on the end of it right there. That little tip does add a little bit of heat in the hand sometimes, but not usually. So it's not a problem like I thought it might be. Does it go in and out of the pocket though? Now let's take a look at that. It certainly wants to climb over the edge right away, and there's just enough room on these denim and the pants that I generally wear for it to sit in there. And the blue one sort of blends in. The gray one might blend in really well as well, but the red one's certainly going to stand out. So yeah, the pocket clip's not terrible, and I do like that it's right and left friendly. The lock arm spring tension, it's not too strong. You can see the spring right here comes back and it lodges back there. So you push down and that pivot pulls up the lock, so it disengages it. So you can just put your thumb on the lock, on the thumb stud, and deploy the blade. It's not something that you can just sort of flick open. The thumb stud's hard to get at. I'll show you a close-up picture of the knife like this. That just barely sticks out. They just put a tiniest little cutaway right there. They didn't give you good access to get at the thumb stud. I really wish they would have done that. I wish this radius here that they made for the finger, this choil, if it would have come just a little bit deeper into the plastic and up here, then it would be easier to deploy the blade. Right now, it's actually much easier to open it two-handed. One-handed, it's kind of frustrating to get it out because the spring here is pretty strong and access to the thumb studs is very limited. So that's a big mistake on this Wraith. They should have made it easy to deploy with one hand. After all, you've got a thumb stud. If they wanted it to be two-handed, you just put a nail nick on the blade and do it that way. So that's frustrating. All right. I've not taken it all the way apart yet because it's technically two pieces of plastic, but I think it's been melted together back here. It's not designed to take apart, which is unfortunate in some ways, but that's what it is. It's designed to stay together. You've got a T8 screw here that you can tighten the play. If you tighten it up so that you have zero play, right now there's, like I said, a tiny bit of play, but mostly flex. If you get rid of the play completely and just leave the flex, then it's pretty hard to open and close. I don't think they even have washers in there. I think the steel is just rubbing against this plastic. There's a D-shaped pin. So one side's got a flat edge, the other side's all the way around, but no washers, nothing. That's all you get. The screw heads, they're pretty good. Let's see, that's the T6 right here. Put it in there. What I like is the hole for the screw is deep. So the screwdriver goes in over 1 millimeter. So that's good. I hate it when screws are really shallow. There's not too terribly much play. That's fairly common on budget knives, the amount of play that we have in that screw. And this one, there's a little bit more play in this one. Let's do it this way so you can see this way. So not bad. And like I said, it's a fairly deep screw. So there are some pros on this thing, that's for sure. Let's take some time to go over all the measurements and those kind of specs on this knife. Like I said, 43 grams, 1.5 ounces. How sharp was it from the factory? I got a score of 125 best. That's a tiny bit better than average, so that's not terrible. The length of the cutting edge is 68.1 millimeters. That's 2.68 inches. The blade length, tip to the closest spot on the plastic, is a bit less, 66.4 millimeters, 2.61 inches. The thickness of the blade up here, measured up here on the ricasso right there, that is 2.53 millimeters, 0.995 of an inch. So it's not a thick piece of steel, but it's not very long either, so that's not a big deal. The blade depth, it's biggest right here at the belly, 18.4 millimeters, 0.724 inches. How thick is it behind the grind? Yeah, it's too thick. 0.64 millimeters, 25 thousandths of an inch. And it gets thick fairly fast because it doesn't have a lot of room this way. The grind angles, I didn't average it, so the average will be on the screen. It was sharpened very poorly. This one started at 16.2, 19.3, and it ends at 30.5. The average is up there, like I said. This one started at 21.8, goes to 24.5, goes to 28.1. So that tip there, it's really broad. So yeah, terribly sharpened. You know, it's fairly sharp, but not well sharpened. The handle length is 99.5 millimeters, 3.92 inch. The grip area, it's just a tiny bit over 8 centimeters or 3 inches. So that's not bad. Like I said, it's not for extra large hands, but most of the rest of us are fine with these. The handle thickness, the widest point's right here, and that is 13.59. That's 0.535 of an inch. Most of it's quite a bit thinner, though. The handle depth, let's do it this way. The widest point is not quite at the end, but right about here, 23.9 millimeters, 0.941. When it's closed, the widest point is pretty much in the middle, 26.3 millimeters, 1.04. And the total length of this knife is 165.9 millimeters. And you can see that that is right around 6.5 inches. So it's not a big knife. The steel, it's not terrible. Because of what I learned from that video, 4116 is not as bad as I thought, but it's still a very low budget steel. If you're looking for something really lightweight, that's a big pro on this. How well does it feel grippy wise? Good. Even a reverse grip, a reverse pull grip, is very comfortable because of this angle here. The texture on the back here, that jimping kind of texture, does add a bit of grip. You know, they could have improved it by putting some jimping up there, but that's much harder that takes a lot more time and effort to do than, you know, just injection molding some plastic. The pocket clip is stronger than I expected it to be, so I thought it was going to be flimsy, but it's actually quite well made in terms of its strength. The cons, it's very flexible. I don't like that. The thickness behind the grind, it's not great. The sharpening, it's quite poor. No sharpness choil, so sharpening to here is going to mess up. Worse than that, when you go to sharpen here, the thumb studs get in the way. So you have to do a fairly high angle if you're sharpening near what would be the heel of the blade, because the thumb studs get in the way. And the thumb studs are not easily removable. There's no texture on them. There's no screw head. They don't come off easily. There's some lock rock, and that's that up and down lock rock. I think most of that has to do with, you know, this plastic being flexible, but they could have ground the lock interface, you know, so there's that tooth, the hole on the end of the blade, and the pin that goes in, or the end of the lock bar, where it goes in, that might be smaller than the space, and that causes the lock rock. That's this knife. Is it worth the price? No, I don't think so. I'd rather buy a Ganzo. The price at Amazon, under $19, that's pretty good, but I'd still rather spend an extra $5 and get a decent Ganzo. Oh, it's so frustrating. Advanced Knife Bro, is that his name, the channel? I don't watch very many reviewers, but I just saw a little bit of a video of him last night. I couldn't sleep, so I stayed up. And he said Gonzo again. Like, it's not a Muppet. It's very simple reading skills, and so many people say Gonzo instead of Ganzo. It's just so funny to me. English is one of the hardest languages out there, but G-A-N and G-O-N, those are two very different sounds. Anyway, thank you for watching my video. Thank you so much to my supporters. You guys really are the best. You've made it possible for me to give you a whole lot of great videos. And I do have a load of videos out there, way over 1,000. I think it's around 1,250 review videos, plus other educational videos, plus, you know, some few rants and stuff. But there's lots out there for you to learn more, and almost all of it is about low budget knives. This is a little bit on the lower end of my scale, but I like to show you these because some of you guys asked about this Ice Wraith. Or you can just get the regular Wraith. All the other specs are exactly the same. The only difference with the Ice Wraith is it's a translucent polymer. So thank you so much for watching, liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. And remember, friends, cut towards your chum, not your thumb. Bye for now.